The Timeshift.
Hello and welcome to the Timeshift. This week we're looking at the second episode of the latest series of Doctor Who entitled Smile. Now this video is going to be a review of that episode, and as such there be spoilers ahead. So you don't want this episode spoiled for you for whatever reason, it's best to switch this video off now. Okay, everybody ready, everybody geared up, let us dive headfirst into Smile. Now I have to say and put my hands up, I didn't hate the episode. This episode wasn't terrible by any stretch or means of the imagination, but it felt as the episode went along that any kind of great ideas and any kind of, well, novelty to it was progressively being drained out from it as it was going along. As though this great interesting little science fiction idea just started to trail out as it went along, as though it sprung a leak and all the great ideas were starting to fall out on the floor. Now I have to say that Frank Cottrell Boyce is a bit of a legend when it comes to television writing in the UK, so any kind of criticisms that I have on him and what he's written for this episode kind of feel like the old adage of teaching your grandma to suck eggs. He's not a new writer, so it's not as though these are the kind of mistakes a debut writer just getting into the industry is making, but I feel that this episode just kind of fell apart in that final half of the episode, possibly final quarter for being generous to it. And I'm going to be honest, over the past few months I've written plenty of scripts where towards the end of it I've had to really cram and rush an ending together to make the whole thing work, whether it's a short film or a TV show that I've been writing, but still it felt a lot more obvious here because that was academia and I could always look back at that and improve it later date. This actually went to air. And again, whilst it's not terrible, there's still this distinct feeling in my mind that maybe it needed a proofread, or maybe it needed to be a two-parter, because there's some genuinely interesting ideas here, even if they are, now and again, kind of laboured. Again, the idea of the emojis, how they work, their justification for existing at this time and place, that works, that's solid, that's juxtafied. But as the episode goes along, the episode starts to fall apart more and more. It feels like as soon as they got to the moment, and I'm not the only one that's mentioned this, I've seen a few other reviews on this episode, and the universal criticism that I seem to have found with this episode is that pretty much the point in the episode in which the Doctor and Bill run from this big complex, that's pretty much the part of the episode where it should have ended. That the big complex mystery at that point has pretty much been solved, that you can't really go on from there. They've escaped, they've reached freedom, there's something really else to do, but then you find an excuse to drag them back in that, oh wait, they were preparing for colonists. That means that millions of people are going to come to this planet and die from these robots. We better do something, which is okay, that's fine. I can get that, so let's go back into the killer factory and sort things out. And oh, it turns out this place isn't just a colony, it's also the last resting place of the entirety of humanity. Oh my god, the scale, the metrics have just gone up a bit. From the moment they find the map, I was just thinking to myself, okay, so they've got this big map, you know, Bill just has to take a phone out, take a picture of it, and they can explore the ship together. But no, the Doctor tells her to stay there. Okay, why? We've already established the fact that she's got a phone on her, and that phone has a camera, and that she's taking pictures with it. So, you know, just take a picture of the map, and then they don't have to split up. But of course, if they split up, that means more drama, doesn't it? Either a robot coming out of the distance to knock one of them off, or, you know, for Bill to have an emotional moment where she looks over the dead woman and she's got the iPad that's discreetly hidden in the big book. We didn't really need that moment because all it did was raise the stakes even more, and I don't think that's what we needed. All this episode really needed, if we were really to strip it back, was just to be the Doctor and Bill escaping this alien menace, these weird robots, I should say. That's what the entirety of the episode should have been. It should have been them navigating this strange facility, avoiding these killer robots, finding what happened to the original colonists. Then in the episode, after they've maybe blown it up or switched the robots off or made them nice again, they run out of the place and they disappear in the TARDIS, as pretty much what happened midway through the episode. That's where the episode for me should have ended, but it didn't. We discover that humanity is now more or less extinct. There's only a handful of colony ships maybe in existence, and this is one of the few of them. This is a last pocket humanity, and if these people walk out to these killer robots, guess what? They're going to get killed by the killer robots. Which I suppose is okay. I didn't really think we needed the levels of danger risen even more, because There's already a ticking clock with this episode. The possibility of another colony ship coming along. Maybe they could have just cut to another colony ship coming along and we'd have had that ticking clock. But no, of course. We needed an immediate threat. We needed a moment for the Doctor to make a speech and to lecture people for no goddamn reason. And this is probably the moment in the episode that kind of got my blood boiled ever so, well, not ever so slightly, actually quite a bit. The part in the episode where you got Ralph Little, who is now no longer a guest appearance on TV shows, appearing along with the rest of the 5 remaining colonists that suddenly woke up at this point, despite the fact there's supposed to be, I don't know, maybe millions of people on this thing, but you know what, let's not worry about that. The Doctor decides to give them a lecture and to balk them for using robots. He describes them as being slaves, being used and exploited whilst they just linked about and relaxed. Wait, did I miss something? At some point whilst I was writing my notes for the episode, did I miss the moment in the episode where it was established where the robots were slaves? That they were sentient, that they were being used against their will? Because the way it seems to me, they were being used in the same way as a contemporary human being would use a microwave to cook a meal. They're just a means to an end, something that speeds up the process. Because I don't think the Doctor quite cottoned on here, or maybe Frank Cottrell Boyce, if we're actually looking at this in the more practical side of things, that just because you're using robots doesn't mean to say you're using them in a way which is slavery. The fact of the matter is, we're talking about a spaceship here that may have tens of thousands, if not hundreds, if not millions, if not a billion people on it. You can't just take a spaceship like that, put it on a planet, and then just have everybody walk out and just expect humanity to survive from that. You've got to spend some time to establish a food chain. You've got to spend time to establish agriculture, or maybe some form of animal husbandry, or set up some kind of livestock, if you're going to have livestock in the future, or set up some kind of method of developing food, or developing a sustainable energy resource. You can't just appear on the planet and go, right, this is New Earth, we're going to put the hospital there, the school there, the IKEA there, and I think we'll have 12 Starbuckses on the first street on this planet. And we'll put a little monument to Earth right in the middle of it, which as tourists will come along and do selfie sticks in front of. You know, it doesn't quite work with that. You need time to establish this place, and using robots is going to be a way to speed that up a bit. At no point in the episode does it establish the humans exploiting the robots or using them in an evil way. And it's only really in the end, towards the end of the episode, that it is established that they're some way sentient, even though they display no real indication of that being the case. We don't show them having any kind of sense of self-preservation. We don't show them communicating between one another or having their own kind of life. At no point is it really established that these creatures are slaves. They're shown as being nothing more than just the weird Paul Blart Mall Cop robots that you've seen now and again on nerdy tech websites, or a Roomba. They're not shown as being anything more artificial intelligently more complex than a Roomba, for Christ's sake. So to have this big speech about slavery felt really off for me, and it felt like a very desperate attempt to put some kind of morality into the episode, which it really didn't need. All this episode needed was just to be a science fiction adventure, a science fantasy adventure, if you want to look at it that way. It didn't need a moral crook to it. All it just needed was to be the Doctor and Bill land on a planet, find a problem, solve the problem. That's it. We didn't need any kind of morality to it. And if we are going to have some kind of moral slint to it, wouldn't it make more sense to have it relative to emotions, rather than it being something thrown together about slavery? But anyway, let us now waddle to one side and talk about performances. Not much to say, but, you know, let us just...
And now we come to the performance section, where the audio from this part in the video was totally unusable. Hooray! Anyway, we'll just surmise what I was going to say here anyway. Peter Capaldi and Pearl Mackie were both fine. They both did their job fantastically well. Aside from a couple bum notes from both of them, the final section of the episode, which, whilst well performed by Peter Capaldi, I just found to be incredibly weird. We started to rant and rave at the characters, the colonists, for using the robots. And the fact at the end of the episode he just said, well, you know, the killer robots have forgotten about killing your friends, so maybe you should too. I thought that was incredibly stupid, and As you can see by the fact I'm starting to wave my arms at this point, it descended into quite a rather large, very loud rant, which is probably why the audio can't be used at this particular moment. And also with Pearl Mackie, the only downside to her was a part where she's going, oh, Doctor, please tell me what happened to humanity, which was the only part where she kind of felt very forced and laboured, like much of the things within this episode. In terms of bad performances, well, the only bad ones came from everybody who wasn't Peter Capaldi and Pearl Mackie. The woman in the pre-title sequence who was just fertilising the fields with her little drone bots was frankly terrible. Oh, I've just finished fertilising the left field. Oh, so much cyber manure, PU. Oh, you look very terrified, my near-identical sister. Why are you so scared? And her sister, oh no, Mother has died, but do not look sad, be smiling now. What do you mean? It was just, oh God. Seriously, it should have felt like a sketch that should have been on Little Britain. And of course, Ralph Little, in his kind of guest cameo appearance, was kind of there. I'm probably one of the few people that was kind of interested by the fact he was there, but he did next to nothing apart from have the doctor give him a balking. So that's pretty much the entirety of the performance section. Everybody but the Doctor and Bill was crap. Now we'll move on to the overview, where I'll just surmise everything that I said and probably reflect about my big rant I just had, even though you're not going to hear it as, well, even if I want you to, you really can't. Anyway, overview, hooray!
So the overview, what did I think of the episode as a whole? And as a whole, it was average. Really average. Well, it wasn't really average. It's 3 parts a good episode, and 1 part...
Oh my God, what were you thinking?
Quality. Which I think on aggregate means it's average. You know, 3 parts being good, 1 part being...
What?
It kind of ends up balancing out to being... Okay. Fine. What did you think about this week's episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a message in the message box below. And be sure to like, fave, and subscribe to us. Again, I don't feel comfortable saying that in the slightest. But you know, apparently it works. Hasn't worked so far, but apparently it works. Oh, God almighty. But anyway, that's it from me for now. Thank you for watching, and goodbye!